Hey guys, how's it going? So in preparation for the upcoming rematch, I've decided to break down Jacob Smith versus RODTANG. So they're rematching in November for the flyweight title in Atlanta, and this is their first fight. Jacob opens up with a left jab, RODTANG slips out the way and throws a left hook, which gets blocked as Smith is keeping a very high guard. Smith keeps that hand out and uses the frame, and it blocks RODTANG's following right hand. Now, one thing to note in this fight, Jacob was very tense, and when you're tense, most of your attacks become telegraphed. RODTANG used this and was able to effectively time and dodge a lot of Jacob's strikes. The only thing he really had success with consistently was leg kicks, as they didn't really do enough damage for RODTANG to move out of the way most of the time. He found it better to just commit on strikes. Again, we see RODTANG throw the left hook and Smith put out the frame. Smith is a very aggressive fighter. He likes to move forward, he likes to overwhelm opponents, and his entrance into range was very telegraphed, so RODTANG stops him in his tracks with a well-timed tape. RODTANG also found a lot of success with his own leg kicks, both inside and outside. RODTANG also takes the opportunity to try and manipulate Smith's guard just to see what he can do with them when openings he can find. Again, RODTANG throws the left hook, which baits out Smith's long guard or extended hand. RODTANG, instead of throwing the right hand to the head, tries to throw the right hand to the body as Jacob's guard is very high. RODTANG mixes up his attacks and instead goes for a lead uppercut through Jacob's guard, which actually lands pretty well, as Jacob's guard, the long guard, and even just a standard high guard, is very susceptible to uppercuts. He lands the uppercut, tries to throw a right hand, but again, it does get blocked by Jacob's extended hand. And here we have some subtle but extremely effective defensive work by RODTANG. His defensive skills, while not the highlight of the fight, were extremely impressive and fundamental in his success. RODTANG throws the left hook as he does, but instead of going for a right hand, he decides to commit to a low kick, which actually does land pretty well. And here is a tape from RODTANG just pushing Jacob back, and then they both throw left hooks. RODTANG, however, just so subtly dips under Jacob's hook, completely avoiding it, which, again, very impressive. RODTANG in this exchange instead leads with the right hand instead of the left hook. He baits out Jacob's high guard. He then tries to go for a left body shot, which doesn't land, but it's still, again, RODTANG trying to find openings, and he tries to triple up with the right hand after that. That still gets blocked. He's just finding his openings, making his reads. Some more impressive defensive work from RODTANG, but this time RODTANG tries to counter with an elbow after manipulating the guard. He misses on this elbow, but waits as he likes the opening till Jacob sets his feet, and then he clatters him across the side of the head with a nice right elbow. RODTANG then doubles up on the left hook. He goes to the body as Jacob's guard is very high. Then he goes to the head, cracking him over the top of the temple. He then gets out of the way of any of Jacob's counters and blocks any of his kicks. Just perfect work from RODTANG. RODTANG sees the opening through Jacob's extended guard for the, lead up elbow. He tries it, he misses, but it doesn't matter as he'll try it again soon. Smith tries to counter this attack by RODTANG by throwing a left hook, and it ever so slightly either hits or just slightly misses RODTANG. RODTANG shakes his head. He's not impressed, and really this is the beginning of the end for Jacob. RODTANG leaps forward and parries Jacob's lead hand down and clatters him on the side of the head with a nice right elbow. Jacob, after being hit very hard, tries to get more aggressive and throws a hard left hand. RODTANG simply ducks under it and moves in to clinch to nullify the forward pressure. Smith begins to realize that the extended guard is getting caught, so he tries to mix it up by just going to a straight high guard, as he's been hurt and he doesn't have the footwork necessary to get away, so he just shells up. RODTANG instead just clatters him with another elbow, as elbows actually do work very well against a high guard. Now, RODTANG again tries to mix in the left hook to the body because Jacob's guard. Jacob crunches down, and then RODTANG uses that as an opportunity to again hit him with a right elbow right over the temple, hurting Jacob again. Rodtang pushes Jacob back with a nice teep, gets him close to the fence, and then begins to unload elbows. Firstly, he hits Jacob with a nice lead elbow down the middle as Jacob is trying to throw a left hook. This cuts open Jacob pretty badly and presumably breaks his nose, just at the end of the first round. Because Jacob's now pretty damaged, pretty hurt, Rodtang's able to get him with the punches a bit more. He lands a nice right hand, Jacob extends out his guard, and after that he kind of springs up and almost freezes. Rodtang again uses that opportunity to commit with another right hand, which cracks Jacob pretty hard. And since Jacob is kind of squared against the fence, he can't really move forwards or backwards without running into something. So Rodtang throws another lead elbow down the middle, which cracks Jacob clean. Jacob then begins to put up just a standard high guard. Rodtang throws a right hand down the middle that lands clean. He then turns that into a nice left uppercut, again landing perfectly. Rodtang then keeps contact with Jacob and uses that to land a good right elbow over the top again. Now at the beginning of the second round, Rodtang lands a nice right hand through Jacob's guard as he's trying to throw a left hook. Rodtang again keeps contact, doubles up on the strikes, which is very important. It's what was key to a lot of Rodtang's success in this fight, where he damaged Jacob. He'd throw a strike, it'd land, and he'd use that to set up the next one, and he wouldn't go away. So he lands the right hand, then keeps contact, and uses that to land a nice right elbow. Jacob then instead puts up the high guard, to which Rodtang throws the right uppercut, left hook, right hand down the middle, all of them landing perfectly. Some extremely good both power and precision from Rodtang to land all of these strikes on Smith, who is a very, very good fighter. Rodtang misses a right hand, but he keeps contact. Now, instead of committing with the right elbow over the top, he actually uses a lead elbow to throw Smith off and also to land an elbow directly to his nose. Here we have two exchanges where Jacob tries to commit hard with strikes to just have some success, and Rodtang perfectly timing, a lead elbow and a right elbow over the top in, two separate exchanges, 10 seconds of each other. Rodtang again decides to commit with the uppercut, but instead of going to a left hook or a left elbow, he actually brings the right hand back, threads over an elbow over the top, uses that, circles Jacob, and then lands another right elbow. Again, it's this doubling or tripling up of strikes, which I mentioned before, which gave Rodtang a lot of success in this fight. And a rinse and repeat of a previous exchange where Rodtang misses a right hand, uses it to line up the right elbow, but then chains together another left elbow instead. It's this variation of elbows and variation in his combinations, which again makes Jacob unable to guess what's coming. And as Jacob doesn't really have his feet under him and he's pretty square, Rodtang simply just kicks at his feet. Rodtang begins to implement a lot more sweeps and throws and dumps as the fight goes on, as he knows he's already kind of won. Here we have Jacob throw a switch kick with a little setup. Rodtang blocks it and times a right hand down the middle, as Jacob just isn't fast enough at retracting it. Guys, thing to note, if you're new to training or you haven't trained before and you're just learning, if you're not Thai and you haven't been doing this for a while, you have to set up your kicks. You just will not be fast enough at retracting them to avoid counters. Please keep that in mind. Here, both men lift their knees and their knees actually collide. Rodtang gets his hands above Jacob's and uses that to threaten a cross left elbow right onto Jacob's head. Rodtang pushes Smith back with a teep. He then doubles up on the right hand. Again, keeps contact to line up the right elbow, hits him with the right elbow, keeps contact, drags him to his right to land a nice left elbow. Just dragging him around, chaining together elbows perfectly. Here we see Jacob telegraphing a almost left uppercut or left hook. Rodtang again times a teep down the middle and just completely avoids the left hook. Jacob throws a rear roundhouse kick, which he does not set up. Rodtang catches it, throws a right hand to the chest or body, and then uses that to then sweep Smith right off his feet. This is towards the end of the fight. Rodtang doesn't feel the need to do more damage. He's just looking good on the scorecards. And right at the end of round 3, Rodtang has Jacob up against the fence, lands a nice right elbow, circles around. Jacob goes for a knee but leaves his hand down, and Rodtang hits him with a nice left elbow. And that's essentially the end of the fight. An absolute beatdown from Rodtang, a perfect display of defensive skills, guard manipulation, extremely good elbows, and just sheer brutality from Rodtang. So a lot of people were confused as to why one booked this rematch between the two. Do I think Rodtang will win? Absolutely. Do I think Jacob will put up a better fight? Yeah, with a lot more confidence and a much better game plan. I do think this fight could be very interesting, but I do still have Rodtang coming out on top. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoy the breakdown, and thanks for watching.